Alright, so I have a couple of people confused. They cannot solve this problem and they have difficulties trying to solve word problems. So in this problem, we'll practice solving higher purchase. So let's go ahead and let's read the problem carefully. And after reading the problem, we're going to note down some important data because whenever we solve problems, any kind of problem solving problems, we need to note down what we were giving, and this is a good habit we build on these kinds of problems. We move on into physics and other chemistry problems we will get in the future. So if you think this is hard, you haven't done anything hard yet, but don't worry. Let's see, and you'll see that by the end of this video, you'll be pretty surprised that these problems are not difficult. It's just that there are some things we need to know. So, anyways, let's go over and let's read this problem together. It says the marked price of a stove is $3,000. There is a discount of 15% for cash payment. So if I decide to pay in cash, I get a discount of 15%. But here comes the other part which says that if I want to buy the stove, to obtain the stove on higher purchase, a deposit of $595 and 18-month installments of 159 and 50 cents each month are required. So let's note down some information. Let's note down the mark price, everything that we were given in the problem. Let's write it down. This is the biggest mistake a lot of students or someone trying to learn these problems is you don't like to read and you don't like to write. So let's go ahead and let's read and write what we were given. Why do we make things complicated? There's no need for that. Let's write down also the discount. We have a discount for cash. So if we plan to pay on cash, we get a discount of 15%. And also we were also given the option, I want to buy this stove. Let's say we're given the option of higher purchase. If I want to buy the higher purchase, I need to do a deposit of $595. But if, let's say, I have this money, I might not have the 3,000 to buy it at mark price, but I might have this amount. But if I plan to get the stove at $595, I need to pay 18 months. But these 18 months, I'll pay $159 and 50 cents each month until I can pay the full months. All right. So now this is the data that we were given, guys. There's no need to complicate things. Okay. So now we were given three things we need to find. This is just basic things we need to know when we go to buy something. This is part of life. This is math that we can apply in real life. So three things we were given to be calculated is A, what is the cash price? B, the total amount paid if bought in higher purchase. So I need to calculate that too. What is the difference between cash price and the higher purchase price? So after solving for cash price and the higher purchase price, we need to subtract. The word difference here means subtraction. And but this difference is a percentage difference because it says that the price, we want the answer price as a percentage of the marked price. At this point, you might be like, oh, I don't understand what is going on. It's fine if you don't understand, but I'll get you there and you will understand what is going on. So let's solve for letter A. Let's solve A. What is the cash price? So let's solve for cash price. So how do we solve cash price? Here's how we solve it. And grab a piece of paper and write these formulas. This is a formula that you need to remember whenever you hear cash price. Cash price means that is equal to mark price 1 minus discount the discount. So let's write down what we were given. So we were given the mark price, right? This is our data. That's why it's important to write the things that we were given, and it's organized. Mark price is 3,000, and the percentage is 15%. But you have to be careful because before solving this here, we cannot subtract 1 minus 15%. We need to convert that percentage 15% into a decimal number. How do we do that? Well, percentage means out of 100, right? So we take 15% and let's divide it by 100. Because we're dividing, we move towards the left and we move 2 places, 1, 2. So basically this would be 0.15 as a percentage. So I can go ahead and I can erase this 15% and I can write 0.15. Now I can subtract this part here. Let's subtract 1 minus 0.15. I'll just add my point here because all whole numbers have the point right here. So I'll just add another 0. So basically, if you think about it, it's 100 minus 15. And you can do this mentally. 100 minus 15, that will be 0.85. 2 places, right? 2 decimal places, 0.85. Alright, so I can go ahead and I will erase this one here. And I will write 0.85 inside the parentheses because I already solved it, and because I need some space, I'll just write 0.85. Now I need to calculate now. The space here means that we are multiplying. So we can multiply now 3,000 times 0.85. So let's go ahead and do that. So anything multiplied by 0 will be 0, so that is 1, 2, 3. So 5 times 0, 5 times 0, 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. And now we need to leave a space here. And let's go ahead and let's calculate. So 8 times 0 is 0, 8 times 0, 0, 0, and 8 times 3 is 24. Now let's go ahead and let's add. That will be 0, 0, 0, 5. 1 plus 4 is 5, that's 2. But 2 decimal places, don't forget that we're dealing with decimal. We were multiplying by a decimal, so we need to take the decimal places of that number. So that is 2, 1, 2. Right, so this is 2,550. Our cash price is 2,550. This is our cash price. Now that we know the cash price, we have solved for letter A. Now let's go to letter B. How do we find hire purchase? So, alright, let's solve B. Total amount paid if bought in hire purchase. So we're solving basically for hire purchase, and the hire purchase is equal to the deposit, right? Deposit, and we need to know the installments that we need to pay, and how the amount. This amount here stands for the time, how long. Okay, so let's fill in what we were given. We were given a deposit of 595. If we can pay this amount, we can take the stove. So after we take the stove, we need to make installments. Installments of how much money? Well, right here we have it. They want us to pay $159.50. And for how many? For how long? For how many amounts of this one? Well, they want us to pay 18 months. Alright, so now we can go ahead and we calculate. Let's calculate this first part here, the installments and the months. So we can go ahead and multiply. Let's multiply 159.50 times 18. So if we go ahead and we multiply, that will be 0. 8 times 9, that is 72, plus 4, that will be 76. And 8 times 5 is 40, plus 7, that is 47. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4, that's a total of 12. Right, and then we have 1 times all of these will give me back the same numbers. That is 0, 5, 9, 5, 1. Now let's add over here. That is 0, 0. That will be 11. 9, 9 plus 7 plus 1. That will be 17. And 2 plus 5 plus 2 and 1. That will be 8. And 1 plus 1. That will be 2. 2 decimal places over here. 1, 2. Alright, so we calculated the installments within the 18 months. So let me go ahead and let me write that answer over here, because now we know what the installments and the amounts add up to. That's a total of 2,871. But I forgot to tell you that we are adding this here plus. Okay, now because we paid this in the beginning, we deposited this and we took the stove home. Let's add up because we need to add now. So let's add 2,871 plus 595. Let's add it up. So 1 plus 5 is 6. 9 plus 7. 9 plus 7 will give you a total of 16. And let's add 8 plus 1, that's 9, plus 5, that would be 14, already 1, and that would be 3. Alright, so we have solved for hire purchase. Our total hire purchase is $3,466. Alright, so let me write it over here. I'll need some space. Erase some space, and then we'll write it over here, and I can erase this. I hope you wrote it down on a piece of paper. Alright, so let me write it down. Hire purchase is a total of $3,466. Alright, let's do letter C now. Let's solve for letter C. It says, what is the difference between cash price and the hire purchase price as a percentage of the market price? So first we need to find the difference between cash price and hire purchase. And how do we find this? You have to remember that the word difference, this word difference stands for subtraction, and we're going to subtract hire purchase, the hire purchase price, minus the cash price. So let's label these. What is the hire purchase price? We solve for it is 3,466. How much is the cash price? That is a total of 2,550. So let's label it over here, and let's subtract these two numbers. So 6 minus 0 will be 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. We cannot subtract 4 and 5, so I need to borrow. That is 14. And 14 minus 5 will be 9. 2 minus 2, well, that's 0. Okay, so this is the difference between the cash price and the hire purchase price. But we need to represent this price as a percentage of the marked price. So what we're trying to do here is that we're also trying to find the percentage difference. That's what we're looking for. So how do we do this? The percentage difference, this is how we do it. We need to write this little formula here, and it stands for the percentage difference. Once we find the difference, which we have found, it is divided by the market price, and we also know the market price. That's, we know it from the beginning. And this market price doesn't always have to be market price. It also can be cash price. And all of this, because we're looking for a percentage, needs to be multiplied by 100, right? Because percentage is out of 100. So let's go ahead and let's fill in what we know. Difference is 916, and the mark price or the cash price is 3000. We were given that in the beginning, and all of this is multiplied by 100. Alright, so since I don't really need to solve nothing inside of the parentheses, I can just go ahead and I can erase it. And now I can do some cross multiply, so I can cancel some zeros over here. Alright, so now we have 916 divided by 30, and let's do it. Alright, so we have this now. It's 916 divided by 30. So let's solve this using long division, because at some point you cannot use any calculators. So let's do it. 30 into 9, it cannot. So 30 into 91, it can go 3 times, and 30 times 3 will be 90. We subtract 91 minus 90 is 1. Now bring down the 6. Now 30 into 16, it cannot go. So we need to add a decimal, because this number is 116. We add a 0. Let's carry the decimal up, and let's bring down this 0. So now this is 160, but I have an empty space here, so let me just add a 0. Alright, now 30 into 160. So you can quickly estimate how many times does 30 go into 160. If you simply divide by 5, that's 0, and 3 times 5 is 50. And now it means that 30 goes into 160 5 times. 5 times 30 is 150. Now let's subtract 160 minus 150 is 10. And now 30 into 10, it cannot go, so we need to add another 0. And then 30 into 100 goes 3 times. 30 times 3 will be 90. We subtract, and that will be 10, and I think this number will keep repeating, so we can stop over here, and we need to add our. So we have our final answer for the difference percentage. So we solve for C. What is the difference between cash price and the higher purchase price as percentage of the mark price? It is this 30.53%. Alright, and there you have it. This is how we solve this problem.